Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to whoever is joining me here nice and early over at Marvel's Snap Zone. January 3rd has been and gone, and with it has arrived the Savage Lands. We were a little skeptical of exactly how this was going to release. No developer notes out early, no big promo video this time around, but we are relieved to see that Zabu, the Season Pass card, has released as expected. If you're still not familiar with this one, it is a 3-cost card with 2 power with an ongoing effect that simply says your 4-cost cards now cost 2 less than they did before. So many players, of course, out there on the ladder right now trying to figure out what is best to do with Zabu. Where can we use it? What are the best cards to abuse with it? And that is where we come in today. When starting to build decks with brand new cards from a Season Pass, we're always looking to maybe start where we think they belong best, but I like to start with some variations of archetypes that we already know are good. Things that have overperformed on the tier list over the last few weeks, things that we know are traditionally strong in Marvel Snap, and that is where today's deck comes in. Take a look at Negative Surfer Surfer. This is very much a mixture of the best, trying to find that fine balance between 3-cost cards and 4-cost cards to maximize both of the last 2 Season Pass cards. First of all, we are a Surfer deck at our core. You, of course, should be familiar with Silver Surfer by now. 3-cost 0 power card that gives all your other 3-cost cards plus 3 power on reveal. We're going to be looking to abuse that over the course of the game, usually on turn 6, but occasionally on turn 5 and turn 6, thanks to Absorbing Man. We have other play patterns here to maximize, however. Zabu is going to let us leverage a number of 4-cost cards in this strategy to play them out on turn 4 ahead of time alongside each other, or just create some very gnarly combinations overall. Mr. Negative alongside Wong can often be a huge tempo swing, allowing you to be able to play onto a Wong lane immediately after Mr. Negative has been played. Jubilee tends to be great alongside Mr. Negative as well, to allow you to immediately put into play some of those negative cards you have just flipped over. Absorbing Man has been a bit of a kingpin in this deck so far. I do think it's replaceable, but I've been very much enjoying the play patterns created by being able to double your Silver Surfer, being able to double up your Spider-Man triggers and lock your opponent out of multiple lanes on turn 5. There is plenty of power tucked away in what those 2 cards are able to do. The rest of the shell is very much built to support Mr. Negative at his finest. Psylocke to get there early. Psylocke really does shine in this deck, given you can just Jubilee or Wong on turn 4 if you haven't found Mr. Negative, and we have that combination of Mystique alongside Iron Man as well for extra padding and extra punch. There are a number of cards I'm really looking to try out in this deck, things from Crystal all the way up to things like Bast, for example, that have come from traditional shells, other 4-cost cards that are worth exploring alongside Zabu, other 3-cost cards that are worth exploring alongside the Silver Surfer. I think there's a very fine balance to how many 3s and how many 4s you need for this deck to succeed. With all that being said, we're going to take some games on the Marvel Snap ladder today and showcase you a little bit of what this deck is able to do. So if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It would be lovely to see you for more Marvel Snap content in the future. And if you find yourself wanting more gameplay of this deck, we are live tonight at 6:30 PM GMT over here on the YouTube channel with some brand new live content coming at you from the Snap Zone channel, where we'll no doubt be playing this deck at some point over the course of the evening. With all that said and done, let's hop on over into the game screen and take a look at what Negative Surfer Zabu is capable of doing. Alrighty, let's get to work with the brew. I think this is less of a brew, really, and more of a mishmash of good cards and trying to find the correct balance. It's an interesting one, really. I think Zabu being a 3 offers some unique situations where it should be pretty good alongside Silver Surfer a lot of the time. It's just like a body you can buff. The question is, how many 4s do you need to play for Zabu to be good? And is that too many 4s for Silver Surfer to have relevant targets? Okay, we get to do the Zabu thing in the first game here. So, Eternity Range kicking in, brand new hot location. Chunks of rocks going to be turning up over here. I guess we're fine putting Zabu into this location. I would really wish I could get Mr. Negative killed, but unfortunately I cannot. Opponent goes with the Zabu into Eternity Range as well. So, both players set up to do some hot nonsense. Okay, so how do we want to do this? I feel like we are Negative plus Spider-Man here some amount of the time, and then looking to Absorbing Man, the Spider-Man on turn 5. Yeah, that's gonna be the plan, I think. So neither player was losing in Eternity range, so I think we can actually pick a fight over this. And leave space open for Brood. Opponent goes to Dracula. Okay, I wish I hadn't picked a fight now. Or at least I wish I picked a fight over Murder World. I would have been much happier. So we find a 1-cost 1. That is pretty good. Okay, so we can stop things going into the Wong lane on 6. Or we can just, like... I don't think locking off Eternity range does very much. The Dracula is already kind of here. We do kind of want to leave space open for Brood, is the problem. So I guess what we're supposed to do is go... Absorbing Man Brood, and then look to go Wong Silver Surfer on the final turn of the game. I think that's the plan. Opponent with the Lady Sif, gonna rip that Apocalypse to shreds. Unfortunately, I am not sure this is good enough stat-wise to take out multiple locations, but we will give it our best shot. Indeed, this Apocalypse is the only card left in our opponent's hand. It's going to be way too big. No, wait, they hit the Chavez. Winning the coin flip there on the final turn of the game off the Dracula hit. Opponent had 2 cards. We had to win that 50-50 for this to be enough stats to win, and it was. There you go. Take a look at that. Good chance we should have retreated there if we expect the Apocalypse to go, but I don't like retreating in games on camera as they tend to be for content, so... lots to learn from that one, obviously. We should have retreated some amount of time if we think we aren't worth playing 4 cubes for a coin flip. But we also got to see some of the powerful things that we can do with this deck with Mr. Negative and Zabu. Okay, heading back into the fire. Let's see what we're able to do with this one. I find this deck so intriguing. Finding the balance between 4s and 3s while still keeping Iron Man is crazy difficult. I think it makes for some very interesting deck building decisions there. It makes it hard to fit in cards like Bast, though. It's something I've noticed. Like, I keep wanting to try Bast in this deck, but, like, I only want 1 card that's not a... Well, 2 cards, I guess, that aren't a 3 or a 4. And I don't want to give up Psylocke or Iron Man. Those are some really big losses. So it's like, well, how do you make space and still have enough 3s for Surfer and 4s for Zabu? Opponent burns their Killmonger before Clintar goes off, which is quite interesting. Zabu has flipped. Zabu is actually not the best play for us here, though, because we don't have anything to abuse it on the following turn, so we will just set ourselves up with some broody goodness. Look to draw some good negative hits here. Opponent with the wave. Okay. They might just have the death online nice and early. Interesting. So we can Zabu and then look to Wong Mystique Surfer. So I guess we Zabu here, if that's the plan. Opponent with the Deathlock on their own wave, interesting. Not entirely sure what the thought process is there. Oh, we actually can't do that all. We're 1 energy short. So I guess we just go... Move some of the 3s over. Play the Spider-Man over here. Wong Surfer. Oh, we may have committed to the wrong lane, unfortunately. New York is where death lands. I think we're okay here, actually. We're adding 12 from the Surfer. That is pretty good. Ideal. There we go. The power of Wong and Silver Surfer alongside each other definitely kind of showing up in that game to show you what it is capable of doing. Alrighty, taking one final spin in the funhouse. Let's see how this one goes for us here. Showcase you a little more of the goodness this deck can put together. Pretty good start here, actually. Psylocke into negative is definitely an option. Alternatively, we can just set up Zabu if we draw another 4 and we want to hold the Psylocke. So Washington, D.C. from our opponent. We draw the Absorbing Man. That's actually not the 4 we're looking to find with Zabu, but it does incentivize us to get Zabu into play. So I think I'm going to hold the Psylocke here. Miri Isle. And we find the Surfer, sure. So let's go Zabu. It's a tough one here, right? Because we have to choose between establishing Zabu or getting negative a turn early. And I think for the most part, I would rather establish the Zabu in the curve as opposed to having to sneak it in later. But that might very well just be incorrect. I think there's a good chance maybe you're supposed to Psylocke into negative and look to squeeze in Zabu on turn 4 or 5 and like maximize everything. But I'm not sure. I think I would need to play a little bit more to figure that out. Opponent's Goose is not going to be an issue. We can thankfully circumvent that one pretty easily. Okay, Wonga's is a good hit. So we will go Wong negative. We really can't get ourselves into Crimson Cosmos now is the problem. Should have thought of that, I suppose. Because now I don't have space to play everything out. Alright, duly noted. Opponent with the Cerebro, so we've got some Cerebro 2 nonsense on the other side of the table. Probably not going to be getting into Crimson Cosmos very easily either. We're looking for some zero-cost things off of negative to play into Crimson Cosmos. That counts. So no Spider-Man here. So we can just make another... I guess a negative... I say, mistake was made. So we should have negatived first and then played Wong so that I could Mystique the Wong. Which I now can't do because I played them in the wrong order. Which, again, good to know. Learning lessons. So I want to Psylocke this. I think I do. Opponent plays the Blue Marvel into Crimson Cosmos. That's fine. We can beat that. Ah! Why can't I play you over on the side here? It's fine. Okay. So we just go Mystique into Surfer into Absorbing Man. That is the play, I think. Kind of cool to have drawn all of our engines there. There you go. Opponent is out. And kind of showing you what you can do if you draw all the engines. We could have done even more if it wasn't for this Crimson Cosmos making the lines slightly awkward. So there you go. Good showcase of this one. I think, as far as I'm concerned anyway, this deck is uber sweet. I think there is a lot of things you can do with it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it evolves, what the tech slots are supposed to be. And that's the reason I decided to make this video on it today, is to get it out there, get it in your hands, and let us all get to work on figuring out what Negative Zabu is supposed to look like. If you have enjoyed this, please do make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I would love to see you again for more things Marvel Snap each and every day. But until next time, I have been HowlingMines. You've been amazing. This has been Marvel Snap Zone. Take care of yourself. Have a good one.